am a crafter and I am here to share with you knitting, quilting, and other miscellaneous crafting content. If you are interested in such content, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, make sure to leave me a comment. Let me know what you think and what maybe I should think about talking about in the future, what kinds of videos you'd like to see. Very interested in hearing and reading your feedback. So down there below, do those things. Go do it. Do it right now. Do it right now. Now? Okay. So today, it's been about 3 weeks since I made a video. I am enjoying the last few weeks of my summer. I am a teacher, and so I'm getting ready to go back to the classroom starting here next week on Monday the 9th. So I was just enjoying the last few weeks of my summer. I did want to get a video up for you all before I head back. My plan is to do a video every other week, so look for those. I will most likely record over the weekend and get those published for you all on Mondays is my goal. Sunday evening, Monday, something like that. That is the plan. So look for those. As always, leave me a comment below. Let me know if you've got any thoughts and inputs. I'm going to start with finished objects. So the last time that we talked, I was knitting on the July Camp Loopy project. The theme for Camp Loopy for July was stripes. If you're not familiar with Camp Loopy, you can read all about that on the Loopy U website. This is my project. It is a infinity cowl. This one is a rather long infinity cowl, which I like because when I put it on, I'll be able to double it up and have all kinds of scrumptious fabric right up here against my neck to keep me warm this winter. So that is, I'm looking forward to that. Super happy with how this turned out. I knit it out of Leading Min Fiber Arts yarn, and it turned out fantastic. I used 3 colors. The pattern calls for 2. The other really cool thing about this pattern, it is foolproof. By Louise Zass Bangham. I'll put that on the screen. You only cast on a few stitches because you start it like you would a shawl. You knit a triangle and then you put stitches on hold and you knit the one side on the bias and then you put those stitches on hold and you knit the other side on the bias and then you bring those back together, join in the round and decrease. So you end up not having a bind off either, and bind offs are my least favorite thing. I'll sew in ends all day long, but bind offs are kind of my least favorite. So super happy with how that turned out. If you want to know more or see more pictures, I do always put all of my projects on Ravelry so you can see any more information there. So that's that. In quilting finished objects, my sewing mojo has kind of slowed down just a little bit. I did finish the center of the quilt that I'm working on right now. The pattern is Colorful Colorado. That one I found on Etsy by Kate Larson, or KT Larson. So what I'm going to do, because I have a king size bed, the Colorful Colorado finishes more at like a queen double size, and I need it to be a little bit bigger for my king size bed. So my plan is to incorporate these Scrappy mountain all around the outside to help that get out to the king size. I may even have to do some sashing as well. But these are super fun. I am all about paper piecing. If you are not familiar with paper piecing, it is great fun. You actually sew onto a piece of paper that has numbers. It can be a little bit weird because you flip things over and you're sewing up upside down and backwards, and that can be confusing, but I love how accurate you get in your results. So I am a fan. These are super fun. There are several different mountains that make out of this pattern. She has several different sizes. I went ahead and bought the one that has all the different sizes, and I made the biggest of the sizes for these. So I'm super excited to see how that comes together, and that will be something else I'm working on here in the craft room. So those are my only two semi-finished objects. Quilting seems like it's always a work in progress, but those are what I've been working on. So next up are works in progress. I have cast on all the things. So in the last 3 weeks, I feel like I've cast on all the things. Typically, I work on 1 or 2 things at a time. I like to knit through something and have it done before I knit on something else. Usually I'll have 2 projects going on, a pair of socks and something else. My pair of socks is these guys. They live in a bag that my youngest daughter made for me out of fabric that I had on hand. When she comes down, we like to hang out in my sewing room and do things. She lives about 4 hours away from me. She is a teacher as well. She teaches music at a middle school, so it's always fun to get to see her. So these are toe up. I'm knitting them out of Stranded Dyeworks yarns. It is just a basic stockinette sock. I always knit my socks magic loop 2 at a time, toe up. That's just my sweet spot, what I find works best for me. I have not knit on those at all in the last 3 weeks. Next week, I'll have a bunch of meetings, so I'll probably take those with me and get some work done on those in the back to school teacher meeting kinds of things. So those are great to have for that. I need to get back into the habit of carrying them around with me so I don't get caught out in the wilds without knitting. It's always nice when you're caught in a line or in a waiting room to have knitting to work on. So that is my socks that I have currently on the needles. Next up, after I finished the July cowl, I was looking for a project to do at knit night, so I wanted something kind of easy to work on. So I cast on a sweater. This is Soul Bird by Sari Nordlund. It is a pattern in the most recent Pom Pom magazine. It is issue 37, the summer 2021 issue. I have tried to make several things out of this yarn, and each time I just was like, meh, don't really like that. I don't want to make that. And then I ran across this pattern, and I thought it would be perfect for this yarn. This yarn is a cotton linen blend from Cascade Yarns Hampton. And so I typically work with merino wool or a wool blend. I was hoping, when I originally bought this, I thought it would make a great summer sweater. I have yet to finish it for summer, and maybe next summer. It'll be all right. It'll be all right. But what I liked is it's bottom up, and so I have this ribbing, and that was what I thought I could work on at knit night. So I got that far. The ribbing is done. I'm ready to go into the body on the pattern, so that takes a little bit more work. But I think once that gets set up and I get the lace pattern going, that it should knit up pretty quickly. But it doesn't have a deadline. So deadline knitting. The first thing is August Camp Loopy. So August 1st, a new challenge starts, and the theme for August is Showstopper. And so I chose to knit Idunn. It is by Linda Marveng. It is a cool cable-tastic sweater. I am knitting that one out of Cascade 220, so it is a wool merino, and it has these lovely, amazing, show-stopping looking cables on it, but the cables aren't as much work as you might think. It is a 16-row repeat and only 2 of those rows are you actively doing a cable. And since you're knitting in the round, there's no, okay, there is purling because there is ribbing involved. I knit continental, so ribbing isn't really a big issue for me. This is the progress that I've made on this since August 1st. I'm about 13 inches in, so I'm trying to make as much progress on this as I can before I have to go back to the classroom. So that is kind of where most of my knitting has been happening, is on that. What a tip that I would share with you is one I got from Laura Nelkin. So when you've got a pattern, you put the pattern on a note card, and then that way it's a nice, easy to carry around and keep track of, and put a sticky note on it, and that'll track up your rows for you so you can keep track of where you are. The other thing that I do, because sometimes that sticky note falls off, is I put a removable stitch marker on the row where the cable happened. That does 2 things for me. It reminds me that it's the beginning of the row, because sometimes I just blaze past that stitch marker. Also, it's much easier to count the rows so that I know how many rows have I knitted, and I know where I'm at. So I really enjoy using removable stitch markers to track not only progress, how much have I knit each day, because sometimes you feel like, especially on a sweater where you're just knitting round and round and round, I haven't gotten anywhere. And it's nice to have a stitch marker to go back to and go, oh, that's where I was on Monday, and I've made all this progress since then. So it's a nice way to keep track of. But stitch markers are your friend. If you're not using stitch markers, you should. They're awesome. So that is my 2 sweater projects. The final project that I've got going, and this one actually involved a lot of time for me, just trying to wrap my head around the project. I spent some time on the computer looking at the charts. It is a shawl pattern. This is Ashes of Roses by Mary E. Rose. The yarn that I'm knitting it out of is Volmisa blend, so it has a bit of cashmere in it. And what makes this a super special project for me is my oldest daughter is getting married in April. And so we decided that we'd like to make her a wedding shawl. We'd picked out a pattern, we went and got the yarn, and then I ran across this Ashes of Roses shawl, and it is just so pretty. And I am not usually a lace knitter. This is turning out to be pretty easy to work on. I do want to make it a little bit deeper, so I need to figure out how to add a repeat or pick a different pattern and add that on. I'm still figuring out what that's going to look like. This pattern calls for nups, which are little bobble pieces of yarn that come up from the surface. My daughter didn't really like that look, and so I decided to use these beads. I had these beads laying around from a project that I did years and years and years ago. Okay, not that many years, but several years ago. And they are perfect. They're this iridescent purple. Her wedding colors are purple with gold accents, so royal purple. And so that's why we're making her shawl. This is more to wear after the wedding, not necessarily for the ceremony. We live in Colorado, and we're concerned that April in Colorado can be anything from a bright, sunshiny spring day to 2 feet of snow. That's just Colorado. So we thought it would be good to have a shawl for her to wear when she's outside. So that is coming along. My other daughter, my younger daughter, is going to be her maid of honor. So if this goes well, the plan is to maybe try to make my other daughter a shawl as well. So we'll see how it all comes together. I'll be sure to share the progress on that. Would really like to get back to this, but deadline knitting, we're going to do the August showstopper project first, and then we'll circle back to that one. Again, I tend to work on one thing and get it done. before I move on to the next thing. So that is my strategy. So those are all the things that I have in progress right now. Hopefully I'll make some progress on those in the coming weeks. And that is about all that I have to share with us right now. A couple of things. If you would be interested on Ravelry, I do have several knitting patterns available in support of my brand new YouTube channel. I am going to extend the promotion that I have. If you'd like 50% off of any of my knitting patterns on my Ravelry store, use the code like and subscribe. And that will get you 50% off any of my knitting patterns on my store. I'm going to extend that for the next couple of months. I want to do that until I get 50 subscribers. That's the goal, 50. I have 6. It's fine. It's fine. I'll get there eventually, right? So much enjoy sharing with you all of my progress. It's nice to know that I'll have this all documented in the future. If you liked what you saw and are interested in more knitting and quilting and crafting content, please leave a comment below and tell me what you would like to hear more about. Also, hit that like button, and if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. I look forward to seeing you all here in about 2 weeks with some more things that we'll have done. Have a great week. Bye.